The next really important step in making your chord progression really interesting is voicings. You could get overwhelmed with the example we just showed you, so let's simplify it to just a piano. So the overall progression looks like this. With some fancy suspended chords that we'll get into in a second. So we are in A minor, not only because we have only white keys here, but also because the overall style of this track is more melancholic than happy. So our progression was 6, 4, 1, 7, and the first chord was F major, 7 here, add second, or add 9. Also doubled root note as bass. The next chord is D minor, because we have a minor third here. It will look like it without voicings. So we have F as third minor up as the highest note. Then we have a fourth here. Then we have fifth as an A and a 7. So without any fancy things, the chord would look like this. But we've added the 7th and 4th. Using our knowledge with voicings, I'll take the F sharp up an octave, but I'll talk more about it in a second. Next chord is A minor 7 here, with a 7 as the second note in the chord, counting from bottom. And the last chord in our sequence was G sus 4, 7, add 9. And I'm telling you why. So let's make it simple for now. So original chord would look like this. G, B, D, 7, add 9, right? Then we suspend the third and take it to 4. That's why it's suspended 4. And we get rid of the 5th. Using our voicing knowledge. And now when we know what chords we are playing here, we can dive into the voicings. As you can see, the whole progression looks really simple, because what we have here are the root notes right here. If I took it down, you can see that they are going in straight octaves. So if we get rid of those, we are left with one chord playing through all the sequence, plus like a top melody right here. Even if this sounds fancy, this is not that hard to write this chord progression. In music composition and arranging, voicing is the instrumentation and vertical spacing and ordering of the pitches in a chord. So basically, voicing is about spacing and ordering our notes. And ordering is the word that you should keep in your mind all the time. For example, we can have an F major 7 chord, but this also is F major 7 chord, but with different voicings. And that's what makes chords really interesting and even. And this is all F major 7 chord, but sounds completely different. And that's what voicing is about. In DAW, such as FL Studio, it's really easy to play with voicings, because you can mark the note, hold Ctrl, and take, for example, arrow down or arrow up. The best sound you'll get when you take all notes close to each other. But that's not a rule. You can also do it like this, right? You can put everything away from each other and maybe it will sound good, right? So let's put it back. And for example, when we add a 9 here, so we can also play with the voicing with the 9th. So we take it an octave up and we take the 7th of the octave down. I'm sure you get the point. So why is the voicing so important? Because it makes our progression sound more even and professional. We've pretty much already discovered the voicing concept before in our course, but in this chapter we just want you to pay attention to it even more. As we had this progression, those notes are really close to each other, right? Because as you can see, all three of them are on the same pitch. So you can play with the different voicing and do it totally as random, right? You can take, for example, those notes here and make fancy looking chord progression and check how it sounds. And that's how you experiment with the voicing of your chord progressions. Next really important thing when making voicings is the velocities, especially when you're working with real instruments. I have a piano here, so I hope that you will be able to hear it properly. As you can hear, all of those notes have different velocities. And if you go down here and take up this bar, you can see the velocity columns. So we have it like this. But look what happened if I take, for example, all of them on the same velocity. Do you remember when I said that you can randomize velocities? That's pretty much just about this. Velocities can make your sound more organic and human sounding. When you're using synths or super sus, this is rarely a matter.